Hello, everyone. My name is Amelia Allen. I'm 31 years old, a public relations specialist who, at first glance, seems to have everything in order. A good career, a polished appearance, and a family that often calls me their reliable daughter. But what most people don't see is the weight I've carried for years, paying for tuition, medical bills, home repairs, and endless little family emergencies that somehow always fell onto my shoulders. For a long time, I told myself this was simply duty, love, and sacrifice. But everything changed on the day of my sister's wedding, when a single lie about a gift I never promised became the spark that forced me to face the truth. That moment, and what followed, is the story I'm about to share with you. I was halfway down the church hallway when it hit me. Words not directed at me, but carrying like shards of glass through the air. $15,000 for a wedding gift? You're such an amazing sister. My cousin Vanessa said it casually, a smile on her lips, her champagne glass swaying dangerously in her hand. But to me, her words landed like a punch to the gut. 15,000? My steps froze. The hallway seemed to tilt slightly, and the gift card in my purse felt heavier than the brickwork beneath my feet. I'd spent 2 months scraping together $5,000, skipping weekend getaways, brown bagging sad little sandwiches at my desk, turning down dinners with friends. $5,000 was everything I could manage without collapsing under debt. But to Vanessa, and apparently to the whole family, it was 15. Her eyes caught mine. Surprise flashed across her face, the kind that makes your stomach drop. Oh, was it supposed to be a surprise? She asked, feigning innocence. My PR instincts kicked in. Years of training told me to mask emotion, smooth rough edges, perform calm even when the storm is tearing through inside. My smile stretched tight and artificial. Don't worry about it, I said evenly. My voice didn't shake, though my heart was pounding against my ribs like a trapped animal. She touched my arm, relieved. Still, what a generous gift. Maya is so lucky to have you. I nodded mechanically, every step I took after that like wading through cement. 15,000. Not 5. 15. The number echoed in my mind like a cruel chant. I stumbled into the bathroom, locked myself in the farthest stall, and collapsed onto the cool tile seat. My hands trembled so hard I nearly dropped my phone. The truth glowed back at me in black and white. The bank app showed the balance I had fought to keep above water. My email displayed the receipt for the gift card. $5,000, the amount I had bled to give. My mother's voice rang in my ears, sharp and dismissive from last week's brunch. With your salary, everyone expects something substantial. Substantial, she had said, her fork slicing into eggs Benedict like a knife into my pride. Maya had nodded along. My younger sister, the golden child. Jenny's sister gave her $20,000 for her wedding. Must be nice to have such a generous family. The look they exchanged had seared me. A quiet dismissal, as though my sacrifice was pocket change. They didn't see the 60-hour work weeks, the overtime that kept me awake at night, the canceled vacations I'd promised myself. The bathroom stall became a cocoon of anger and humiliation. I pressed my palms against the cold metal door and forced myself to breathe. 1 breath. 2. 3. When I finally stepped out, the woman in the mirror looked polished. Burgundy dress perfect, makeup flawless, hair curled neatly. But in her eyes burned something new, something that felt dangerous. Controlled fury. The ribbon around the gift card snapped in my fingers. 15,000. They had told everyone that I had given 15. This wasn't the first time, was it? Memories unfurled like film reels. The check I wrote for Maya's final semester abroad in Barcelona, never repaid. The roof repairs at my parents' house vanished into silence. Dad's surgery, the bills that mysteriously became my problem. Every time the same script, a casual mention, a pointed reminder of my good career, a silence that turned into expectation. And me, always giving, always covering, always the reliable ATM in designer heels. This is not just my family's story. In families everywhere, invisible roles get written for us without consent. The eldest child becomes the rescuer. The one with the steady job becomes the bank. And culture wraps it all up in tidy bows called duty and family first. I thought of social surveys I'd read. Over 40% of adult children in America provide financial support to parents or siblings. Behind those numbers are people like me, people quietly bleeding into spreadsheets while pretending everything is fine. But in that church bathroom, I realized something I had never let myself say aloud. It wasn't generosity anymore. It was abuse wearing the mask of tradition. Water splashed onto my wrists as I washed my shaking hands, trying to ground myself. I reapplied lipstick with surgical precision, armor for the war I felt building. My reflection stared back. Amelia Allen, 31, PR specialist, professional mask wearer. But the mask was cracking. Beneath it, the real me whispered, "Not this time." I walked out of the bathroom on legs that felt heavier than lead, yet steadier than ever. Something was about to change. That night, in the hotel room, the silence felt heavier than the velvet drapes drawn against the city lights. I sat on the edge of the bed, my heels kicked off carelessly, my purse spilling across the carpet like a crime scene. The gift card lay there, the crushed silver ribbon mocking me. I couldn't bring myself to touch it. Instead, I opened my laptop, its glow the only light in the room. Rows of numbers blinked up at me. My spreadsheet, my secret ledger of sacrifice. $4,700 for Dad's knee surgery. $7,200 for the roof repair. $11,340 for Maya's semester abroad. $3,890 for her broken down car. $5,450 for Mom and Dad's anniversary cruise. One by one, each entry told a story of a family need that somehow became mine to fix. At the bottom, the total glared back. $47,380 in 3 years. Nearly a year's salary. Nearly the down payment for the little bungalow with the bay window I had been dreaming about. I traced the lines with my finger, the way some people trace old scars. Each entry was a wound disguised as generosity. And yet, none of it had been enough. My chest tightened. I thought of the brunch, of Mom's casual cruelty, of Maya's laughter. I thought of Vanessa's wide-eyed congratulations in the church hallway. They had stolen not only my money, but my dignity, crafting stories about me that weren't true. The hotel phone startled me out of my thoughts. I answered instinctively. "You're not picking up your cell." Kate's voice rang sharp and steady, the voice of my oldest friend, the one person who had seen the cracks in my armor long before I admitted they existed. I told her everything in a rush. How Mom and Dad had told everyone I was giving $15,000. How the planner had confirmed they were scheduling my announcement into the reception. How my body felt like it was caving under a lie I hadn't told. There was a pause. Then her voice came low, almost trembling. "Mel, that's not generosity anymore. That's financial abuse." The words hung in the air, shocking in their simplicity. Abuse. I had never labeled it. I had always told myself it was family duty, sacrifice, being the good sister, the reliable daughter. But when Kate named it, the truth felt undeniable. Like pulling back a curtain and finding rot where you thought there was wood. My laugh came out hollow. According to my spreadsheet, 15 isn't even their biggest ask. "Mel." Kate's tone hardened. "They've been using you as their personal ATM. It ends now." I swallowed. My first instinct was to defend them. "It's complicated. You don't understand." But wasn't that what I always said? That it was complicated? Kate cut through the fog. "Because you've let them make it complicated. Your mother orchestrates. Maya plays along. And your father benefits by doing nothing. It's the same pattern every time." I sat frozen, the phone pressed to my ear, her words pounding through me. She was right. They had written me into a role. The responsible one, the dependable one, the one who would quietly fix everything while they smiled for the camera. "But if I don't give what they've promised," I whispered, "I'll look like the villain." Kate's answer was swift. "Only to people who don't matter. This is your chance to break the pattern, Mel, once and for all." When we hung up, I stared at the blank hotel notepad on the nightstand. For years, I had been crafting speeches for other people, clients, executives, campaigns that lived and died on public perception. And now, my family was weaponizing that very language against me. Perception is reality, my mother had said, the mantra of my profession. But what if reality could be perception too? I uncapped the pen and began to write. Not angry, not bitter, just honest. The words didn't come easily at first. My hand trembled, scratching lines, crossing them out, starting again. But then something shifted. The speech wasn't about defending myself anymore. It was about reclaiming the narrative, about refusing to let their lies define me. I reached for the burgundy photo album in my suitcase, the one I had spent weeks assembling. Childhood pictures of Maya and me, building sandcastles, making snow angels, sitting on Grandma's lap. Real memories, real inheritance. In the inside cover, I had written, "Money disappears, furniture breaks, but memories are the true wealth of family." Now I understood. This album would be my gift. My 15,000, my truth. For the first time in years, I felt something settle over me that wasn't anxiety or obligation. It was clarity. The plan crystallized. I would speak. Before my mother, before the performance could reach its climax. I would give my own toast. Not the one they expected. The one they deserved. And tomorrow, in front of everyone. I would hand Maya the only gift that couldn't be twisted into numbers or lies. Morning broke with sunlight slicing through the hotel curtains, cruel in its brightness. I dressed in silence, the burgundy dress smoothing over my body like armor, each curl in my hair pinned into place by a stylist whose chatter I barely heard. Around me, the air buzzed with perfume, hairspray, laughter, the nervous energy of a wedding morning. Yet underneath it all was a script already written, one in which I was expected to play a role I hadn't chosen. At breakfast, Aunt Carol leaned in close, her voice syrupy, her hand patting mine. "Such a generous sister," she whispered. 15,000? When my daughter got married, her brother gave her a blender. She laughed, shaking her head in admiration. The mimosa in my hand tasted sour, but I forced a smile. Around me, cousins, distant relatives, friends of the bride, all repeating the same story like a chorus, congratulating me for a gift I hadn't given. Each word was a stone laid on my chest. Across the table, my mother caught my eye and raised her glass in a silent toast. Her smile gleamed like polished silver, but underneath it was the unspoken command, "Stay in line. Don't embarrass us." Next to her, Maya laughed at something her maid of honor whispered, stealing glances at me with a sparkle that might have been guilt or triumph. I couldn't tell anymore. The wedding planner slipped into the salon later that morning, clipboard clutched tight. She handed me a folded note with the efficiency of a soldier delivering orders. "From your mother," she said quietly. I unfolded it, my fingers trembling. "Your announcement right after the father-daughter dance." Perfect timing for maximum impact. My lungs constricted. The choreography of it all was unbearable. Every word, every glance, every toast planned as though this day was a Broadway production. And I, the dependable daughter, was expected to deliver my lines without falter. I crumpled the note in my fist. Something cracked inside me, not weakness this time, but silence. My silence, splintering. Back in the bridal suite, I reached for the photo album. The burgundy leather cover gleamed under the fluorescent lights. I flipped it open, my fingers tracing pictures of Maya and me before money became the currency of love. 10-year-old me, chin jutted forward, standing between Maya and a boy who'd made her cry. I remembered the fierce little girl I once was, unafraid to speak up, unafraid to defend what mattered. And then, tucked between the pages, another picture. Grandma Allen, her silver hair catching sunlight, both of us on her lap. Her voice rose in memory, steady as a hymn. "Honesty is the only gift that never breaks. Melly, remember that." The bathroom door creaked. My mother appeared in the mirror behind me, her reflection sharp and commanding. "There you are," she said, closing the door as though sealing off an escape. Her lips tightened. "Everyone's waiting. I've told them about the 15,000. Don't embarrass us." Her voice, for the first time, stated the lie directly. No subtle hints. No implied expectations. Just raw demand. I turned slowly, the photo album pressed against my chest like armor. "I never agreed to that amount, Mom." Her eyes flashed with cold surprise before hardening. Don't be difficult. You make more than enough to spare it. Family comes first. I straightened, the words rising with unexpected strength. Family does come first. That's why I'm doing this. She blinked, suspicion narrowing her eyes. Doing what? I didn't answer. I moved past her, my heels clicking against the floor with a steadiness I hadn't felt in years. My phone buzzed in my clutch, a message from Kate. Whatever happens, I'm proud of you. Truth is always right. The photographer caught me in the hallway, his camera clicking before he lowered it, studying my expression. That's a keeper, he murmured, almost to himself. Uncle William passed by a moment later, his weathered hand squeezing my shoulder. Stand tall, Amelia, he whispered. Some storms need to break. Their words stitched into me like invisible threads of courage. The ceremony loomed ahead, lace and promises waiting. I stood at the edge of it all, holding my sister's bouquet, my heart pounding. For once, I wasn't the invisible backbone, the silent ATM, the agreeable daughter. I was something else entirely. The plan was clear. When the dance ended, before my mother could rise and spin her narrative, I would take the microphone. Not with anger, not with bitterness, but with truth. And this time, I would not flinch. The reception shimmered with the kind of polished perfection only a wedding can conjure. Crystal glasses catching candlelight, the clink of silverware against china, laughter bubbling like champagne. My mother floated across the ballroom, radiant in her mother of the bride glory, adjusting Dad's tie, whispering instructions to servers as though she owned the night. And all the while, her eyes kept finding me, making sure I was in place, ready for my cue. The father-daughter dance ended with applause. My heart thundered in my chest, but my legs carried me forward with uncanny steadiness. The DJ's voice sliced through the fading music. Before we hear from the mother of the bride, Amelia Allen would like to say a few words. My mother froze mid-step, her champagne glass tilting precariously. For the first time in years, I saw panic flicker across her face. The crowd hushed, curiosity rippling like a tide. I rose, the weight of the photo album heavy at my hip, hidden but waiting. The microphone was cool in my hand. I scanned the room. David's arm draped around Maya's waist, her smile stretched thin. Dad studying the tablecloth as if it held answers. Mom's expression a mask cracking at the edges. My voice, when it came, surprised me. Strong, clear, steady. I've thought a lot about my gift to my sister today. Murmurs fluttered. My mother leaned forward, already rehearsing the line she expected to follow. 15,000 from my generous daughter. But I held her gaze longer than comfortable. A shadow of doubt crossed her face. Money can be spent, I continued, running my thumb along the microphone's edge. Furniture breaks, vacations fade, but love and truth, those last forever. A ripple moved through the crowd. My mother half rose from her seat, her lips forming a protest, but the DJ, bless him, subtly stepped between her and the stand, blocking her path with a polite smile. I reached beneath the table and lifted the album, its burgundy leather gleaming beneath the chandeliers. Gasps whispered through the room as I held it up. "This," I said, my voice softening, "is my gift. Our shared history. The real wealth of family." Step by step, I walked toward my sister. Each stride felt like shedding years of weight, each breath a release of obligation. I opened the album to the first page. "Remember this?" I asked, pointing to a photo of us at the lake house, me teaching her to float on her back. "You were 7, afraid of the water, and I told you I wouldn't let you sink." Her carefully painted smile faltered. A single tear slipped down her cheek, streaking mascara. She reached out with trembling hands, clutching the album as though it burned and soothed her all at once. Around us, silence deepened, the kind charged with meaning. "I hope you and David fill this book," I whispered, "not with dollar amounts, but with honest moments, with truth, with love that doesn't come with a price tag." Applause rose, tentative at first, then swelling. Uncle William was the first to stand, his weathered hands clapping with conviction. Aunt Judith followed, her gaze sharp with long-suppressed recognition. Soon, half the room was on its feet, not for me alone, but for what the moment represented, truth breaking through performance. My mother remained seated, her posture rigid, her smile a mask stretched so tight it might crack. Dad patted her hand absently, eyes fixed somewhere beyond me, retreating as always. Maya pressed the album to her chest, her face wet with tears, her new husband looking helpless beside her. It wasn't the shot Mom had planned for the photographer. It was better, honest. As the applause thundered, I returned to my seat. For the first time in years, I wasn't trembling. I wasn't invisible. I wasn't the ATM. I was Amelia Allen, standing in the truth, letting it echo louder than any number ever could. The applause faded into murmurs, the ballroom settling into a strange, charged quiet. Guests shifted in their seats, unsure whether to sip their champagne or study my mother's frozen smile. She sat rigid, fury simmering beneath her carefully painted face. When she finally stood, her heels clicking sharply against marble, the room parted instinctively. "I won't stand here and be accused by my own daughter," she declared, her voice pitched to Carrie. Without another glance at me, she stormed toward the exit. Dad followed, his eyes cast downward, retreating the way he always had, silently, passively. I stood straighter, unshaken. For the first time, their exit didn't hollow me out. It freed me. Maya lingered near the cake table, the photo album clutched against her sequined bodice. Her makeup had been repaired, but her eyes remained rimmed with red. She approached me quietly, her voice a whisper not meant for others. "You made me look terrible," she said, though there was no heat behind it. "No," I replied gently. "I gave you the chance to be better." She blinked, the words hanging heavy between us. Across the room, relatives clustered around my mother, her hands slicing the air in sharp gestures of damage control. Yet not everyone leaned toward her anymore. Some drifted toward me instead. Mrs. Robertson, her bridge partner of 20 years, touched my arm and whispered, "About time someone said the truth out loud." Loud enough for Mom to hear. Later that night, As music returned to the dance floor, Uncle William squeezed my shoulder. "Some storms," he said. "Clear the air." His approval was a balm I hadn't realized I needed. A month passed. My apartment felt different, lighter. No frantic texts for loans. No guilt-laden voicemails disguised as family obligation. I savored the silence. One morning, a letter arrived in Mia's handwriting. I circled it for hours before opening it, unsure whether it carried another manipulation. Inside, the words staggered me. Mom pressured me into the money announcement. She said it would motivate you to give more. I should have stopped her. "I'm sorry. Your speech wasn't what I expected, but maybe it was what I needed." My hands trembled as I folded the letter. For the first time in years, an honest thread connected us. I opened my own copy of the album, the twin to Mia's, and placed a new photo inside. It was taken the night of my speech, showing her hugging me, mascara streaked, gratitude raw on her face. Not perfect, but real. Life after truth was quieter, yet richer. At dinner with friends, Kate raised her wine glass. "To boundaries," she toasted, eyes gleaming. Around us, laughter warmed the air. "Last week, Dad called about property taxes," I told them. "Instead of paying, I suggested a payment plan. And he thanked me." Even saying it out loud felt surreal. The grip of obligation was loosening, thread by thread. "Baby steps," Kate said, clinking her glass against mine. Weeks later, my phone rang during lunch. Mom's number. Once, that ringtone would have triggered panic, a tightening in my chest. This time, I let it buzz once before answering on my terms. Her voice was softer than I remembered, tentative. "I've been thinking about the wedding," she said. "I never saw how much pressure we put on you. I convinced myself it was normal." I waited, breath held. "Thank you for saying that," I replied finally. "I'm open to building something new, but it has to be based on respect." A pause. Then, almost reluctantly, "I'd like that." That evening, I added another photo to the album. A recent family dinner. Awkward but honest. No mentions of money, no veiled expectations. Just conversation. On the first page of the album, I wrote an inscription in neat ink. "The true wealth of family is measured in honesty, not dollars." I closed the book, leaving the final pages blank, ready for chapters not yet written. And in that moment, I understood. The most valuable gift I had ever given wasn't money, wasn't sacrifice. It was the courage to speak the truth, a gift that, at last, was mine to keep. Amelia's story reminds us that the true wealth of family is not measured in dollars, but in honesty, respect, and love that cannot be bought. Sometimes the most valuable gift we can give is the courage to speak our truth. Thank you so much for watching until the end. I wish you and your loved ones good health, happiness, and peace in your families. And if you found this story meaningful, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next one. Take care and see you soon.